Hello, everyone. We are getting ready to go live. This is going to be Sherry's testimony from taking the January 2022 program, the Women's Sacred Rage program that we just ended. And right now I'm going to figure out how to get us live, and I will be right back.
Go.
All right, we are recording. I'm so excited to have you here, Sherry. For taking the time to come in and talk about your experience on the Women's Sacred Rage workshop that you just took, or the program. So obviously I want you to tell things in your own words and do, say whatever you want. So that's basically what I think most people would like to know, is maybe how you felt in the beginning, how you felt maybe in the middle, and how you felt towards the end, and what results maybe you've had from it, maybe some fears that came up around it. Any of those things that you think, well, basically would help another woman be like, oh, okay, yeah, I feel safe taking this program and I think it's for me.
Okay. Well, in the beginning, I was drawn to the program, and a part of me was surprised because I thought, well, I've done so much work, like so much shadow work, so much of my own healing. I'm in a healing experience right now with, from the Lyme's and the degenerative disc issues that I've been, dealing with in a huge way over the last 8 months. And I was just kind of surprised that I was so drawn to it, even though I thought it was amazing from being in the group and just seeing what you guys did. I thought it was important and powerful, but I didn't think it was necessarily for me. And then I was noticing I was really, drawn to do it. And so I was checking in with my intuition about it. And I decided to go for it. And in the beginning, some of my fears were, first, I noticed that I was definitely, in my group, I was the oldest girl in the group. I was the only mother in the group. And I started kind of thinking, I'm sure it'll work out, but am I really going to be able to relate to everyone? Will they be able to relate to me? I don't know. I just wasn't sure. And then another thing that I had concerns about in the beginning is I didn't want to re-traumatize myself. I literally, when the program started, I still could barely use my left arm, right? I could move it around some, but I definitely wasn't writing with my left hand yet. I wasn't eating with my left hand. I wasn't driving myself at all when we started the program. And so I had a little fear around actually exacerbating the issues I was already having with my slip discs in my neck and just all those things. So those were my main fears. And then, excuse me, I'm getting ready to cough.
You're all good.
When you choke on your own spit, it's always so sexy. But it was like, as soon as I got there, literally the first day, the energy was just so beautiful in the group. It's like you and Jacqueline have such a gift for, in your own unique ways, you're very different, but your differences actually, to me, work together to create the best possible synergistic experience in a group container. It was amazing. It was like, oh, I get to be completely myself. There's no limit on how long I can speak. There's also no pressure to speak. It's like, it became really clear to me the very, very first day that I get to make it what I want to make it. And so that was really a relief, and as soon as we all started to share, in our group, there were people who were much more introverted than I am. But watching those women come out of their shell and see the way that they were able to actually show up, that helped me to show up even more fully myself. And so one of the things that I wasn't necessarily expecting going in, I knew it was a possibility, but the way that it heals that sisterhood wound, right? Because it's such a raw program. It's like, whew, because of the way that you show up and just hold space for us, and kind of like the way that I described it to you, Tasha, I don't know if you remember this, but it's like what I started realizing was I'm drawn into this because I'm not as in touch with my fire. I mean, I can pull up my fire when I have to. I've been someone who had to learn to fight on a lot of different levels, but that's not really my nature. It's like my nature is much more, I don't know, like
fluid.
Yeah. Yes, a lot more water, like even in my, my birth chart, like a lot of water. So and oh my gosh, like when Tasha's fire would come up, it helped me to like allow my fire to come up. And so it was like the whole way that you facilitated that allowed me to let my fire come up in a way that was really safe. And it definitely didn't ever bring new harm or new pain. If anything, I started healing. I know it was a variety of things, but this program had a lot to do with it. And right in the middle, it became really clear to me, oh, this is a huge part of my healing. No wonder my intuition led me here. So it was this combination of like women just of all different backgrounds, different ages, different situations, just being together and really being seen and felt and held in our completeness, like nothing off the table. Yeah. It can all be said, it can all be shared, and there's space for all of it. There's no time limits, there's no rules. It's like if you need to get up and go to the bathroom, if you need to eat, you can eat. I mean, it was just like so comfortable and comforting, even though it's like revolutionary and different than anything I've ever done.
Yeah.
So then whenever, like in the beginning, we're writing down all of the things that make us mad, that we have anger about. It could be, you might think it's only this much, right? You might show up with this much, and then as people start sharing their anger, you start noticing where you still have that buried anger. And for me, I just let myself go with it. And I started recognizing that I had anger even from things that I thought I had definitely dealt with from years back. And then also some things that were going on in my present life that I wasn't allowing myself to acknowledge. Yes, I feel anger about this. So when we started to acknowledge that, bring that out, have space held for it, and then when it came time to do the sacred rage, the scream, that I can't describe that adequately, because the way that Tasha gets you ready for that scream, and like her gift of like getting you geared up for it, and then you going for it and letting it out and doing that in the space where there's no judgment, and you don't get hurt in your scream unless you want to. Later on, we actually did do some where we were hurt in our scream, but you get to like turn that part off, so
yourself. Yeah.
Still hear Tasha talking you through, because she's doing Reiki the whole time. And let me tell you, she's the real deal. She's not just pretending to do Reiki. Like, I'm an energy worker and I do it in my own very specific way. And I could tell that what you were doing is a high level work. It's, I could feel it. And so through that work, she's like helping you get rid of that energy, basically helping pull it out of your body. And some of us went as long as 20 minutes, it's just amazing what's in there that needs to come out. And then you feel like, whoa, at the end, you're pretty wiped out, but it's in a good way. It's like you've released stuff that was deep, deep in your body. And so then throughout the program, as Jacqueline starts to teach about the anger and the way that it affects us physically. And I mean, I can't even begin.
Emotionally, mentally,
Yeah, all the levels,
financially.
all the levels. And
Yeah.
so those two things interweave in this really beautiful way to, it's just like that helps the mind to understand what's happening, and to, even as somebody that's been, you know, studying psychology and like leading my own shadow writing workshops and doing all the things on a lot of different levels for the, you know, like since my first the surgery I had on my neck when I was 26, like I've been really active in all these ways for many, many years. It was just going deeper into all that than I've ever been. And so it was really life-changing. And then at one point, I had a sister in the group because I still wasn't able to use my left arm. And even doing stuff with this arm was pretty challenging because of the nerve issues that are going on. And I could do this today. Today I could throw my own plates, you know, a little bit, but I had a sister literally throw plates for me as I spoke out what needed to be spoken out. And it was just, I can't describe it. It just gives me chills, like sitting here talking about it when she offered to do that. And then the way that it all came out. So the other big piece is how the chat goes. And to be in a program where you are being coached by both Jacqueline and Tasha, like truly being coached by two very gifted, very psychic and very in touch with themselves healers in this way, that in itself was huge. Like, you know, the stuff that would just come through and the feedback that you would get and the support that you would get in every session, you know, always, nothing was too much. And then this ongoing support in these chats. So if you were going through something, you could put it in there, anything, you know, you could say, hey, I'm pissed off, and you could say why. And first of all, always Tasha would respond, always. Like, you know, it might take a little while, but I'm always like, how does she do this? Like, how's she always there to respond, you know? And it was always a response from Tasha. And then the other ladies also responding. But the thing is, there's no pressure to respond. Yeah. So like, you come in when you feel the desire to come in and be held, it's there. But also when you want to give support for others, you can, but there's no pressure. So you know it's real when it's happening for you. Like really noticing that was huge for me. Gosh, I've been talking a lot. I'm going to try
That's
to take
okay. I love it. I love it. I was just going to maybe say just real quickly, like we had one woman who I'm not going to say her name because I haven't really been given permission. I don't think she'd care, but I just want to make sure. We had a woman who came in actually a week late, which I don't do anymore unless I'm divinely led to do so. She came in a week late and she really didn't hold space really for anyone, in the sense of like, she held space, but she wasn't like somebody who would give a lot of advice towards people. She came in really just to say what was going on with her, and nobody cared. Nobody felt like she was being selfish. Nobody felt like she had a really hard time, which she ended up clearing a lot of things through that process of like, oh, I really do get to just show up without feeling like I have to people please, without feeling I have to give all my energy away, because she would say, I don't have space to hold for anyone. She would sometimes come in, show up in class, say what she had to say, and then leave. Because she's like, I don't have space to hold. And like, the only thing that we ever had like a so-called issue with in that was that we were like yearning to get to know her. Her energy was beautiful. Right. And we were all just like, ah. And we could see how she was kind of shutting herself down in not showing up, right? And not healing those too much I'm a burden wounds that she full on would say, well, I feel like I'm taking up too much space and I can't seem to get past it. The only way you're going to get past is to show up. And then she'd show up as the funniest thing. She'd show up in the chat, or she'd show up on the group, and then she would be like in tears. She's like, oh my God, I just can't believe how supportive everybody is. And I just love all of you. And I just really need to stop like doubting myself, because every time I come in here, I get nothing but support. And so, yeah, like it really is a lot of your own self stuff that stops you. And that's why I think there is a lot of women who do these testimonies say, well, I was divinely led to go to it. Didn't really think it was for me, but I kept getting this like intuition to go to do it. And then when they get in, they realize there's all this stuff underneath because it's all repressed. It's mainly repressed. We're so taught as women to just bypass it, smile through it, yoga through it, meditate through it, breathe through it, forgive. It's like,
Yes.
go work. And then all of a sudden you're passive aggressive and you're people pleasing and your body's in pain and you're all these things and you can't figure out why. Or somebody goes to write out their list and they can only think of 4 things. This literally happened to a woman recently. She's like, oh, so write out your list. She writes out her list. She's like, I don't think I'm doing it right. I only have 4 things to write. I was like, oh, honey, you're so pissed and you don't realize it. So I go, why are you mad at your mom? Why are you mad at your dad? Why are you mad at the world? Why are you mad at your animals? Why are you mad at your kids? Why are you mad at your health? Why are you mad at money? And I just started naming all these things and she goes, oh. And then she goes, okay, I'll be back. 4 hours later, she comes back and she goes, so my anxiety is at a 10 and I've been puking on and off all day.
Yeah.
And she goes, I realize now that my anger, my anxiety is because of my anger. And
right.
So yeah, being able to have that.
It hides. It's like,
yes.
And it's in our cells. It's in our bloodstream. It's in our cells. It's in our energy body. It's in our spiritual body.
And I think the big thing is, Sherry, it's because of that feeling. If I let it out, it's never going to go away. If I let it out, I'm going to be re-traumatized. If I let it out, it's going to ruin my life because that's what people keep telling me. Don't let that shit out. Don't give in to your anger. It's not productive. It's going to fucking destroy everything. Yeah, it's going to destroy all the shit that doesn't need to fucking be in your life anymore. So let it come out. Let it destroy.
It is fire. It is fire.
Yes, and it alchemizes once you take the program, right? So it's like, at first it's feeling fear and it's feeling fake protection. You know, it's like like I said, you're popping off at people that just barely activate you, trigger you, whatever you want to say. I say activate, you know, whatever activates your body, you're like, oh my God, the smallest of things, right? It's like this just unbalanced. And once you do the scream session, really, because we do some sacred raging in there too, but the first scream session, once you do that, it immediately starts to alchemize. And the things are not just, you're not just screaming to scream, you're screaming. That 4-step process that we do it's the reason it's having miraculous results, because that's exactly what's happening, is it's physically taking out the things you're pissed off at out of your body. Like I know it sounds crazy, but that's what's happening. So yes, are you angry ever again? Fuck yes. But what happens is that those things you were angry at before, you're not really angry at anymore. You guys at the end of the program were like, I don't see him. You're reading their list and they're like, I'm not angry at that. I'm not angry. I'm not really angry at that anymore. It's like, it's not there anymore. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And it's also like, it gives you the ability to really be with yourself when the anger does arise.
Yes.
I wasn't even aware that I still on some levels was suppressing anger from myself, you know, because I'm very into noticing everything about how I feel. You know, I meditate in the mornings and do this really deep check-in. But I think that doing this program, I became aware of how I was scared of my own anger. I was scared of anger in general. And so it's like, I would just be in a little bit of denial about it, or try to shift it really fast without going into it and seeing what's it want me to know. What is it, you know, why is it showing up really? And that goes with, you know, that stays with me now. And it's like, it's helping me so much with boundaries. Like, I already knew that I had, that's a struggle for me sometimes, healthy boundaries. But now I notice that, like, if I'm starting that self-talk of like, well, I shouldn't feel this way, and I start trying to immediately, because this kind of comes natural for me, immediately going into what the other person's experiencing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, whoa, no, that's not my responsibility. I can absolutely use those empathic gifts, you know, in session, and they're not going anywhere and all that. But like, I don't have to abandon myself and make my feelings wrong because I'm so concerned about what everyone besides Sherry's going through. That's part of the programming. That's part of, you know, the abuse that I went through. And so through the work, the embodiment, because we actually embody these teachings through the way that Tasha leads us through all this, it's an embodied release. It changes you on a physical level, on a cell level, on a structural level, which of course changes everything else. And then it all makes sense because of what Jacqueline brings in. And those teachings are profound and like deep, and there's nothing light about that. And there's nothing like we get to have fun and we get to laugh, and it's very light in that way. But this is like really, really deep transformative work that it can really change everything. I mean, it can shift you at such a deep level that like then you look around and you recognize this is going to ripple out into all the areas.
Yep.
So
yeah, I think it's a I say it every time because it's true. Women come in one way and they leave a fuck another one in a 4-week time period. It's not something it's not a sales tactic. It's not fucking, we have a money back guarantee. No coaching programs fucking doing that because they can't guarantee their results, and we can, because we've seen it over and over and over again. We've been doing it for over a year. This will be our 6th one that's coming up on March 11th. So yeah, I mean, how has it affected your ability to show up in the world and be seen, like on Facebook, and like your creativity and like business? How has it affected that?
oh goodness. Well, perfect timing in that way, because I was told before, like while I was really sick, I was told, hey, around springtime, you're going, early spring, late winter, you're going to start putting yourself out there again. And I felt really like hopeful about that, but also just a little, fragile. It's like I've been in, I'm literally like the butterfly that just is now beginning to break out of the cocoon.
Yeah.
The phoenix that's been in the freaking fire. On such a deep level, like I've been through those kinds of things before. I've given childbirth naturally 3 times. I'm not trying to like downplay anybody's experience or anything I've been through before, but what I went through this past year is like, it's even hard for me to really grasp it and put it in words and understand it. I don't quite yet 100%. But the timing of going through this program, right as I'm relaunching my business, I'm like, that's why Spirit told me to join this program, because the ability to be seen, held, love myself, to know that like what I have to offer really is important, that has grown exponentially because of the work that I did in the program. So it just gets you in that space. It's kind of like even showing up for each other in the group is such an activation for those of us who are coaches, for those of us who are in the healing world. It's like it gives you an opportunity to practice that in the group, because you guys encourage it. There's no pressure to do that, but it's like it's not like you're like, no, we're the only ones who can offer, expertise or suggestions. It's like, no, everybody's voice counts.
Yes.
So I think that even that, like us, like the women gave me feedback saying things about my voice or things that
how you looked. They kept saying like, oh yeah, you mean how they talk about how beautiful your voice is and how you should do meditations. Yes, we all agree that Sherry should be doing meditations very, very soon.
And I do that sometimes in labs if you look back, but it's far and few between. But to be getting that feedback that I wasn't even expecting, that's going to help me to continue to show up for myself and my business too.
Yeah.
So, and yes, the youngest women in that group, like their wisdom is invaluable for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we all have, no matter what stage of life we're in, it changes, of course, but we all have things, we all have parts of us that are really longing to be expressed. And in some ways, well, the older you are, possibly the more that you
been suppressing for longer, you might need it even more. I mean, that was like one of the things I said to myself when I was feeling a little bit tempted to, like, thinking, oh, am I too old for this group or whatever. I remember thinking to myself, not that I'm that old. I mean, I'm literally 51. I'm young, very young. You know, it's a fucking number anyway.
Sure.
And, you know, but it's like, I realized, no, I probably need it as much or more than anyone, because I'm at this stage in my life where I don't want to waste any more fucking time. I've been through so much shit and so much hell, and, you know, and one of the things that you guys really helped me with is, and it's a little redundant to something I was saying before, but like, when the thing I loved is, like, when you're telling your story, you're kind of tempted to be like, well, my dad did this, but it was because blah, 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 blah. And all that is really true. You know, of course it was because of those things, but it's like, no, in this space, this isn't about why dad's wounded. This is about what happened to you. This is about you.
You're talking about, like, when somebody would say, oh, dad did this to me, but I kind of get it because, you know, dad was abused too. And, you know, he didn't really have love when he was, it's like the equivalent of when they tell you when somebody's crying not to hand them a tissue. You're doing that to yourself. You're just telling yourself, oh, it's not valid. Your anger is not valid. Your anger is valid as fuck. And so, yeah, we spent a lot of time telling the women, no, guess what? We don't give a fuck about what happened to dad. Fuck him. We don't fucking care. Do we not care on a whole spiritual level? Fuck no. But in this moment, we have to not care. We have to not give a fuck. We have to give ourselves permission to just be fucking mad without stopping ourselves. Yes.
Yes, it gets to be all about you.
Yes.
And probably for the first time ever, you know. I've been blessed. I've had one really powerful healer in my life where I've screamed and yelled and cried and been held, and, you know, he's really gifted and will say, you know, look at that person and let them have it, you know, and then you go into the forgiveness. So I had done that in some personal sessions, but doing it in this group and, like, having it be all about that and learning all about that and alchemizing it in the way that we did, it took all that work that I had already done to just this really
solidify
profound level. And this is going to help me in my own business in terms of how I hold space for other women. Like, I already knew I was a powerful space holder, but wow, it's like, I'm going to encourage women to feel, like, I was really good at helping women feel their sadness. I am really good at that. Humans in general, like, go in there, feel that. And getting to that in the energy work and everything. But now I know that because I took this program, I'm going to be better able to do that for the anger that's hidden beneath all that stuff too. And of course, sometimes beneath the anger, then there's deeper grief that can come up. There's deeper fear that can come up because it's a placeholder. It's holding place for all this other shit that you're not really getting to. And as long as it's there, you know, it's holding everything else back from being able to express.
Yes. And I think we really I try a lot of the things. I mean, you know, you repeat a lot of things during programs because they're important, and there's your brain is being reprogrammed, right? So I spend a lot of time saying, women will come in and say, wow, I'm really pissed off today. What we screamed about today, there's still stuff coming out. And I will say, a lot of times you'll hear me saying, it's coming up to come out. It's not coming up to cause you more problems. It's not coming up to re-traumatize you. It's coming up to come out of you. You need to see it as coming out. You need to tell it, okay, I see you and you're leaving. Thank you for being here. Like, it's a lot of reprogramming of your brain. So I do spend a lot of time in that. I spend a lot of time telling women to not apologize. I'm sorry about, nope, I love you, stop apologizing, you know, and it's never like a shame thing, like, you know, it's always in an uplifting way because, again, we've just been taught, you know, to not do these things. But yeah, it's the deepest shadow work that you're ever going to do. Because if you have the anger stuff, right? If you have grief, sadness, whatever, but the anger is what's hiding it, it will be the deepest shadow work you've ever done in your life. It's also going to have the biggest payoffs in your life because of that. A lot of the biggest things that women walk away with is being able to hold different paradigms, which is now the business issue comes up, the pain comes up, the boyfriend girl partner, right, leaves me, my dad does something to hurt me, whatever. And before, you would sit in this, you would blame yourself, you would hate yourself, you'd find all the reasons to just make it so inward that it would now be stuck, not only get stuck in your body, but now would make decisions for you. Now you would not be able to trust. Now your heart was closed off. I mean, now your money's fucked up, everything, right? Instead, after your anger's alchemized, you see it and it's kind of this witness view of like, oh, I know what that is. I see what that is. Yeah, I feel the pain of that. It's like you become like a scientist. You're like really super hyper aware of things. And so it's like this feeling of like, oh, okay, I see that. I feel the pain of that. And I know the truth. And the truth is, I'm not attached to the outcome of this. The truth, this does not make a decision about me. The truth is so-and-so fucking, and then you get to like almost like spiritual bypassing. It's not though, right? You finally get to that place. So now you can use those things of, oh, well, dad's a fucking hurt individual and he's got some fucking problems, ain't got nothing fucking to do with me. And it's from a place of empowerment instead of a place of, I don't want to deal with it. And then you get to move forward. Even if you're still in pain over here, you get to still do your business, have the money come in, just make the connections. Your heart's not closed off from it. It still becomes something that is productive. And it's the anger underneath that's like, no, bitch, you got this. Like, no, I love you. No, that's not true. Don't listen to that person. That's not your fucking truth. Say it out loud. It's not your fucking truth. And you move forward in it, and it becomes something that it literally creates a new reality for you. And that energy, that new anger that is not new anger, but the alchemized anger is a power that is emanating an energy from you. So when you talk about, Sherry, that you're able to hold space for people on a different level, women especially on a different level, those women can feel that safety in you because it's in you. You did it for yourself. So there's this power. That's what women are feeling from me. It's my power. Right. I don't give a fuck. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to fucking do my healing. I'm real as hell. You're never gonna find somebody more fucking real than me or more honest than me. And because of that, I have the energy, strength, and stamina to hold space for other people. And I fucking love what I do. So they feel safe with me, but it's my anger. That's the anger alchemized that you're feeling. It's power.
It is.
It's safety. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a big deal. Yeah, girl. Huge. Okay. So we've been on here for about an hour. How do you feel about the value of the program? Like money-wise in comparison to other programs?
It's incredible because now that I'm in this world of, looking at what actually happens online, and I see what programs do cost in this world of online businesses and everything. The time, the expertise, the support, the transformation that you get from this program, it's like what you're charging is incredibly a gift. It's a gift to people. And I love that it is, because I know for me, that can be a big, as much as I'm into abundance mindset and everything, I've got this illness that I'm dealing with, so I haven't worked in 8 months, et cetera, et cetera. There's all these realities as a mother, especially, that I'm dealing with. And wow, I mean, when I look at the whole experience, the time, the energy, the actual transformation, the information like that came through in Jacqueline's teachings, like just the whole thing, it's really mind-blowing. It's a no-brainer. Yeah. It's like, if there's any way, if you're feeling called to take the course, if you feel that within yourself and there's any way you can do it, do it. Yeah. Like, I highly, highly recommend it. It's a wonderful value for what you're actually getting.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate you saying that. So we're going to wrap this up. Before we do, just a little bit of details. Currently, this is going to be uploaded to YouTube, so you could be watching this 5 years later. Currently is March 4th, 2022. We have an upcoming program starting March 11th. Currently today, there are 3 spots that are still available. I do have lots of interest, so those are going to go fast, mark my words. Currently the program is $2,000. There's a 10% pay in full discount, which makes it $1,800. I have a 3-month payment plan of $666, and I have a 6-month payment plan of $333. I also have kind of a secret payment plan if you're somebody who really, really can't afford that. So message me, find me. Find me on Facebook. Find me, obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can message me, leave a comment, and I will see it. Yeah, and we do give a money back guarantee. So, and that can be found on the website. So sisterhoodofsacredfire.com. You can also look up Sisterhood of Sacred Fire on Facebook, and you will find our group. So yeah, I look forward to talking to any woman who's feeling compelled to do this, because if you are, and you're still sitting here, it's meant for you. It's just a matter of you saying, yes, I'm ready. Because there's no coincidence to that. There's not one woman that is drawn to this program that doesn't have massive results. And if you're still sitting here listening to this, it's for you. It's meant for you. So please share our work. We're also available to talk on podcasts. We're available to do webinars, retreats, any of the things, if you're looking for someone to speak about Sacred Rage. All right. I love you, Sherry. Thank you so much.
I love you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love you.
I love you too. All right, guys. We'll see you later.